Hello guys, in today's video I want to be talking about the regulation temperature and fever. So guys, in today's video I'm going to be talking about what is the normal temperature of the body. I would say that the normal range of the temperature can be, it'll be basically, you'll have to remember this is 37.8 plus or minus, sorry, excuse me there, 36.8 plus or minus, just you need to add in the 7, plus or minus 7. Guys, I want to talk about how can heat be produced. Guys, it can be heat is basically a byproduct. It's not a main product, and it can be a byproduct. As we know in our body, as we know in our body, the energy expenditure is based upon our 60% based upon metabolic rate, and then the other, and I believe the 60% is going to be based upon metabolic rate, and the other 2 is going to be based upon heat and work. 20% heat, 20% work. So heat's going to be a byproduct of metabolism. What is it going to be a byproduct of? Well, it can be the byproduct of based on metabolic rate. So how can it be based on metabolic rate? Metabolism is because when there is going to be an increase in 1 Celsius, increasing 1 Celsius, it increases the basal metabolic rate by 10%. The next thing I want to be mentioning is going to be the hormones. So I want to talk about these ones that increase metabolism. So as we know, epinephrine, and we can put your T3 and T4. So any extra metabolism is going to be hormone stimulation. And then I want to talk about the extra rate of muscle activity. When there's more amount of muscle activity, sweat, so there'll be more hormone production. Extra metabolism due to stimulation, hormone stimulation, epinephrine, T3, T4. And then I want to talk about the thermogenic effect of thermogenic effect of food. So I want to be talking about what's going to be there. It's going to be extra metabolism for digestion and absorption. Fine. So you need more amount of thermogenic food because they're going to be involved in digestion and metabolism. Let's talk a bit more about heat loss. Heat loss is going to be produced by the basically it's going to be produced by the deep organs. Which ones are the heat? Heat is going to be mainly produced by the deep organs, such as the heart. As we all know, the brain is so deep, and the liver. They're all the key organs, and the muscles during exercise. This is only during exercise. So as we can put over here, we can say with the main organs and organs and muscle. It's going to depend on transferring of heat. Depends upon 2 factors. Whether the place where we're transferring is how rapidly can it be conducted to the place where it is lost, and how rapidly can it be, let's say it's outside the body, how rapidly can it be transferred from the skin to the environment. So transferred from skin to the environment. So these are 2 places. So how long will it take to replace the loss, and how long will it take to transfer it from the skin to environment. I want to talk about some subcutaneous fat. Subcutaneous fat is essentially an insulator. An insulator is going to help to maintain the core temperature. And it's going to be a very important, and it's going to be very important. Now I want to talk a bit more about the subcutaneous fat, and so now I want to be talking about importer. Importer roles are going to be the subcutaneous venous plexus supplied by skin capillaries, but also by direct arteriovenous anastomosis. So these are going to be the key things which I want to mention, and I also want to mention that they're going to be the rate of blood flow in the plexuses is going to be altered, and that's going to be between the 0 and 30% of cardiac output. Skin is going to be regenerated as the heat radiated system, and during vasodilation, the heat conductance from the deep tissues to the environment is going to be increased by 8 folds. I want to talk about this because the deep tissue, you're not going to get much heat, so it's going to increase by 30 folds. and 8-fold, sorry. And there's going to be skin can be act as a radiator system, because as we know, radiation is going to be any way the heat can be transferred in the heat can be transferred infraradiated radiation waves. And so as we can see, these are going to be the infrared in radiation waves, and that's going to be transferred heat. So that's how we're saying that it's going to be transferred heat, and we're going to be that skin can act as a radiator, heat radiator system. And as we previously said, that the rate of blood flow can be altered from 0 to 30% of the cardiac output. I also want to mention that the vasoconstriction has the opposite effect due to restriction of blood flow to the venous plexuses. So that vasoconstriction can cause the opposite. So that means it'll conserve heat, whereas vasodilation, it can cause it to increase by 8 flows. It can cause the heat loss to increase by 8 times. And that's just what I want to mention over here. Now I want to talk a bit more about the way in which heat is lost. As I said previously, the skin is going to be a heat radiator system. The next thing which I want to mention is going to be conduction. So what essentially is conduction? So guys, I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a brief overview about what I'm going to be using in terms of. I already defined radiation, so I said that heat can be transferred in the form of waves, or the form of like I said, infrared radiation. So I'm going to be using Google as a source and the Just Science source, so total credit goes to them. So radiation is that the energy, or you can say heat even, can be transferred in the form of rays, sometimes of waves or rays. So it has a form of transport. What about convection and conduction? Conduction is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be the transfer of heat, but through direct contact. So it'll go through the metal rods here. So the substance, the heat or current is going to be to one another by direct contact. And convection is going to be transfer heat through the fluid. So convection is going to be through maybe liquid or gas, but conduction, transfer of heat to a solid, and radiation is going to be transfer of through waves or rays. So that's just some basic information. So now look, I have so much definitions over here, the ways the body can be lost. So I want to first talk about radiation. I already talked about radiation of heat, so that's through our beautiful skin. And then we have the evaporation. Evaporation is going to be very important, because why? Because we have sweat. So that's going to be about 600 to 700 milliliters per day. So that's important to know, that especially if we live in a hot environment, a tropic possibly environment, it occurs even without sweating. So the only way of losing heat of our surrounding temperature is higher than the body to prevent heating of the body. So you're going to be losing heat if the surrounding temperature is higher than the body temperature to prevent heating of the body. So yeah, you're going to be losing the heat to the surrounding environment to prevent heating of the body if the surrounding environment is high to the surrounding environment and is higher than the body temperature. So that's very important to be noticed. That you're going to be losing heat to the surrounding temperature if the surrounding temperature is higher than your body temperature. So that's going to be loss of heat. Now when we're talking about the conductance to the air or conductance to a solid object, conductance to air is going to be facilitated air convection, removal of heat air from the skin. So it's going to be a facility of air convection and moving of heat air from the skin. So you might be wondering, so conduction to the air, so meaning like conduction from your body to the air, so facilitate amount of convection from your body to the from the removal of heat air from the skin. So conduction to convection. So convection or removal of the facilitated, it's going to be facilitated, so helped with air conduction, so removal of heat from the skin. So I want to talk about conduction to solid objects. Conduction of water is going to be much higher than that to the air. So the solid objects and solid objects is you're going to be touching maybe a doorknob. That's going to be conduction to the heat. Maybe you touch ice, so that'll be conduction there. And conduction to water is much higher than to air. So that's one thing to remember, which I haven't mentioned here. So conduction to water is much higher than air. I'm not sure what it means over here. So basic conduction to water compared to air, it can basically say that basically water has a more amount of capacity has a higher heat capacity than air, means it absorbs heat better than air. So it's going to be faster loss to the water. So yeah, that's faster loss to the water. Now I want to be talking about sweating and its regulation. The sweating regulation, of course, can be regulated by nerves. Which one's sympathetic nerves? It can be stimulated when you're going to be in a high temperature, stimulated by the anterior nucleus of the hypothalamus. Anterior hypothalamus, don't even say nucleus, just say anterior hypothalamus. the pre-optic area caused by excess heat, send fibers via sympathetic nerve fibers to the sweat glands. And this can secrete the acetylcholine, and this is going to only happen during exercise. And the sweat glands are also going to be stimulated by you can also be stimulated by the epinephrine and the norepinephrine. Addition to that, this is going to be, which is going to be very important, which is important during exercise. And it's going to be important during the exercise, and this is going to be when hormones are going to be released into the blood. The rate of discharge depends on sympathetic discharge. The lower the rate of secretion, the more electrolytes and water are reabsorbed, and vice versa. So lower excretion, so a lower amount of water and electrolytes is going to be absorbed. So the next thing I want to be talking about is going to be the role of hypothalamus. Right? For hypothalamus, of course, has many functions. So like it controls the circadian rhythms. But one of the posterior parts of the I want to talk about, they're going to be thermoreceptors in the skin, and they're going to be present in your skin. Of course, they respond to heat or cold, and they're gonna detect body temperature in skin to detect body surface, and the deep receptors sense the core temperature from the viscera and great veins. So yeah, that's about in this compartment. This is about it. And I also want to mention that the afferents reach the posterior hypothalamus, where it will put the input. So now I want to talk about if the temperature is going to be too high, and I want to be talking about what are going to be the signs of this. So the number one sign about temperature is going to be too high. First of all, vasodilation. You should know this. This should be on the tip of your fingers. It literally does happen on the tip of your fingers. Of these skin blood vessels, always skin capillaries, due to inhibition of the sympathetic. Due to inhibition of cardiovascular centers, therefore, thus zero decrease in sympathetic discharge. And now the next thing is going to be sweating. Sweating is going to be sympathetic discharge to the sweat glands when the body core temperature rises. Above 37. The next thing I want to be talking about is going to be the cooling, the decrease heat production. This is going to be inhibition of the of shivering, and next I want to talk about is going to be increased amount of respiratory. So respiration, so removal of the heat air from expired air. So guys, that's about it that I have time for today. And I hope you guys found this useful, and Please do subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching my video.